Yeah.
I'm standing here with Rick from New Hampshire, and Rick, you've got something on your mind. Tell me.
Oh, well, really, what I wish I had the words and the wisdom to be a modern-day Thomas Paine. And because of the condition of mass media and so much information that's about, people are really, I think, just fed up with having to hear another thing or read another thing. And there are just so many issues on the table that, oftentimes people are just going to tune everything out. But what I know about this guy named Ron Paul, which is why I'm standing here holding a sign for him, is that for 40 years, this guy, or 30 some odd years, the guy has a track record of not being for sale. He's not for sale to the highest bidder. And you see it all the time on all of the, when he's on the debates and so on and so forth. And he talks about fundamental issues. And his whole thing is going back to the rule book of government, which is the foundation of the United States of America and all of the states, which is the Constitution. That's why on Capitol Hill, the guy's known as Dr. No. Because when the bills land on his table, and the bills, is the other thing is, most people don't understand that the bills, when they vote for their senators or their state representatives that go, or the federal representatives that go to Washington, what they don't really realize is that, and I didn't realize this for years and years. It took me actually 2 years of sitting in denial. I did not believe, could not accept and believe that the Federal Reserve System actually works. I couldn't believe it. I literally could not believe it. So after years and years of investigating and doing my homework and actually educating myself, the other, unknown thing that most people don't pay any attention to is senators and representatives in Washington that go to the, that are from their state representatives that go to Washington, call legislators. Their job is to write bills and so on, so to propose legislation. And what's true is these people have not been writing legislation for years. What's true is corporate lawyers, armies and teams of corporate lawyers have been writing these legislations. And then they just dump it on their table and they say, here, we would like this passed and we'll give you a nice fat campaign contribution next time. And the very best that they can do is tack on an amendment which simply sends the money back to their home state. So it makes them look like heroes. But in fact, they don't write laws anymore. They don't legislate anymore. They simply tack on amendments and pass corporate legislation. And you can see it's very clear once you understand what's going on, that you have a choice come very shortly in the state of New Hampshire. You've got a choice in the primary to put this man, Ron Paul, as a track record, which anybody can go and look it up. This man is not for sale. So you have all of the corporate hacks and you have Ron Paul.
So basically, is that how you basically see the two sides shaping up? Corporate hacks on one side and Ron Paul as the other. Those are the main two sides.
Yeah, I really
Can
do.
you think of any kind of solution that would kind of bring political peace between the two, or would be a win-win solution for both sides?
I think, again, the only way to do this is through education, which is what he's been doing. One of his first things, he actually predicted the economic predicament that we're in. He predicted it 35 years ago. And again, I'm not just saying this. You can go back and if you care to look it up, it's in the congressional record of his words. He actually, pointed out and predicted the predicament. It's based on economic theory. Now, this is really complicated to most people. Most people aren't going to take the time to understand it. But if they did, and this is the disconnect. The disconnect is we live in a world that's run by propaganda.
But it's not that difficult to understand. What the government is printing green pieces of paper and calling them money, or just printing ones and zeros and calling it money. That's the central issue, the central problem, and the average person can understand that they're doing that.
That's true. And so when you boil it down like that, it's what's true. Probably one of the best books out, the best book out there is called The Creature from Jekyll Island. Mm-hmm. And the Reader's Digest condensed version of The Creature from Jekyll Island is another book called Dishonest Money. Mm-hmm. And it tells you exactly the same story. And like I said, it took me 2 years to actually believe that was so. I thought to myself after I learned it, it just cannot be true, because people would have said something and done something about it by now. come to find out, they
No.
actually did say something about
Well,
it.
yeah, but historically, it's very difficult for people to understand central banking, especially if you don't put it in these simple words. And this is actually a new phenomenon in society for people to understand it at all, or even be talking about it. It hasn't been since the 1800s that people have talked about it.
Correct.
So that's what the win for us right now is that at least it's on the agenda.
Even the word fiat. I'm not if people maybe even understood the word fiat when they call about fiat currency. Fiat means by decree. It means a bunch of people in suits sit around a table and they say that they actually can dictate by whim the relative value of currencies now worldwide. They can dictate. So if you're in the know, and if you can simply dictate the relative value of currencies, what does that tell you? It tells you that human beings those human beings have a leg up, have an advantage, and can literally control the economic well-being or unwell-being or discord of any nation. So once upon a time, there was all these pieces of paper were backed by something. They actually were receipts. They were receipts for hard currency, and that's really the big debate. The debate is, and for thousands of years, that's why they chose something. They chose anything. They used cowrie shells, they used gold or silver, and the only reason that people chose those rare items as a currency was because men cannot simply go and manufacture them on a whim. They're actually, they're of a limited nature and they're highly identifiable. They're rare. They have a rare value. You just can't make them. You can't just manufacture them out of thin air. You can any kind of fiat currency. So it just takes some time for people to actually comprehend and, if you're playing a game of Monopoly, for instance, if you play the game of Monopoly, pretend in the game of Monopoly that the banker can just manufacture money out of thin air. And just pretend
Or that one of the
game.
players can do it.
Exactly. I mean, just pretend that game and pretend, and then you'll get a sense of the power
Right.
of the banker who actually creates the money out of thin air.